Hello, folks. Welcome back to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. I know it's been a bit of a break, but we've had a few problems. We've had a cold wave and fog, and it's made us all miserable. Anyway, welcome back. May I wish all of you a very, very happy and prosperous and peaceful new year. Now, today we're going to discuss a few things, not just one, there's 3 or 4 points. And I think you'll find the divide between the political parties is beginning to show up. Not the political parties, but the groups are beginning to show up very clearly. Please go through all this very carefully, right through to the end. Because later on will be coming some of the very important points. Like Modi ji and the banks and how he's turned them around. Now please remember, there are a whole lot of things that have come up in the since we last met. One is the Bilkis Bano case. The Supreme Court has overturned the release of those rapists and murderers, quite rightly. I'm quite in agreement with that. But why is the Indie Alliance, and especially the Congress Party, trying to politicize everything and say the BJP is responsible? No, it is not. How did the Gujarat High Court manage to come to such a conclusion that these characters should be released? Now the facts are emerging that their lawyers hid a whole lot of facts and presented a totally different case to what it should have been. I mean, why are they allowed to get away with it scot-free? They should be hauled over the coals, put behind bars for 15 or 20 years. Why? They've falsified the whole case, told a whole pack of lies. Simply omitting the truth is the same as telling a lie. I'm sorry, it is. Because a half-truth can be much more devastating than a complete lie. Would you like to know? Okay, I'll tell you. You ask a question. So-and-so's a thief? I've asked a question. A third party says, Arvind has said, that person is a thief. It becomes a statement. You understand what I mean? A question has been turned into a statement. Totally different meaning. This was done deliberately. How? First, they've told something which is not factual. The Gujarat government went according to the facts as they were presented and released them. Had they been presented correctly, they would never have been released. The onus is on the Gujarat High Court and the legal system, not the politician. Those lawyers should be hauled up because they have not only perverted the course of justice, they are also guilty of perjury. And these are serious offences. You and I would go through behind bars for years. Why not the same with these lawyers? Instead of blaming the government, why don't you haul up the judiciary? Why don't they take action against these lawyers? Now, the other thing I fail to understand, a lot of this arose out of that Godhra incident, where a train was surrounded, not allowed to proceed. It was barred from the outside so nobody could escape, and then torched. When the fire was brought under control and put out, 60 charred bodies emerged. And nothing was done. Why weren't the people responsible hunted down like animals if necessary? Because that's what they are. When you allow them to get away with it, it's like saying Muslims have open season to murder and burn and char Hindus. It's open season on Hindus. Not just Godhra. Jaipur, a tailor gets beheaded. You mustn't say anything against Islam. But it's all right to kick, burn, behead, stomp on Hindus. What about Northeast riots? Again, Muslims murdering Hindus in the form of riots, and nothing is done to them. Why? So Muslims have free rein to do what they like. I think this has to stop. And those who make such inflammatory speeches that Muslims have their rights and they can do what they like, and they do, such people should be put behind bars. Yes, they should. It's about time Muslims were reined in and told, look, behave or get out. We don't want that sort of lawlessness here. Thank you very much. And both you, Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, it's very good to be Gandhian. But remember, perhaps the only thing what Gandhi said which I agree with and approve of, speak softly, but carry a damn thick stick. And don't be afraid to use it when necessary. You remember the old story, spare the rod, spoil the child. Now these folk are not going to learn until that great big thick stick hammers them across their behind or across their backs. So use it, and use it judiciously. And then we have this Ram Mandir, invitations being turned down. Now I've said many times before, the Congress Party of India has always been the Muslim League under a non-Muslim sounding name, just to allay all fears and to ensure that we're kept in the dark. And this isn't new. I know Arnab Goswami last night on TV said Sonia Gandhi is responsible to becoming anti-Hindu. No, he's wrong. It started with Jawaharlal Nehru, and that entire family has simply carried it on unabated. How did he start it? Well, 1950, Article 28 in the Constitution of India. You are not permitted to learn about Hinduism anywhere, not in schools, not in colleges, nowhere. Article 30, you may teach Islam anywhere, you may teach Christianity anywhere, schools, colleges, universities, churches, mosques, madrasas. 28 and 30, is this secular? I think not. Added to that, any donations to Muslim religious organizations or Christian ones, whether it's churches or madrasas or mosques or waqfs, the government doesn't touch it. Any donations to Hindu temple trusts, the government takes over. Secularism? I think not. Nehru never believed in that. The Constitution also says, keep religion and state government totally different, separate. Really? Why did Nehru bring in subsidies for Hajj pilgrimages? Are there any for Hindus going to Kedarnath or Badrinath or anywhere else for that matter? Secularism? Equality? This country bends over backwards, and I mean it, to look after minorities, and they turn around and kick us every which way they can. I'm sorry, but this has to stop. If it doesn't, all hell is going to break loose, trust me. Now Sonia Gandhi and Mr. Kharge are not going to this consecration of this Ram temple, or Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Well, it was expected. But then, nor is Sitaram Yechuri. And I'm pretty certain Mamata Banerjee won't go. Why? It tells you that I was right, and I've been right all along, that the Congress Party is anti-Hindu. It doesn't like the people of India. It hates us. So why is it in power? Remember what I said? Nehru believed firmly that once the British had gone, India was now his colony. He was not governing an independent state or country. He was governing and taking control of his colony. And they said, well, you can see what he has done. And the Congress has been dividing India every which way it can. Nehru brought in these two. You can learn about Hinduism. You can't learn Hinduism, only Christianity and Islam. Why? 80% of our people have no recourse to learning about their own background. Why? He was empowered by the Constituent Assembly, November 23rd, 1948, to write up, i.e. formulate, enact and implement a uniform civil code. So why in 1956 did he enact a Hindu civil code? Hindus can be stomped on, they can be reined in, but nobody else. What is the result of that? Muslims have been breeding even worse than rabbits and creating problems for the rest of India, which has reined in its population, but not Muslims. Don't you think it's about time they grew up? If not, get out. Maybe Pakistan is where they should be. Well, you know the mess they made in Pakistan. Why are 70 million Bangladeshis coming into India? And I'm talking about 60 to 70 million. Not 60 or 70, but 70 million. Because there's nothing in Bangladesh. And they come in here and mess things up for us. Now the opposition parties have no agenda except two. They have two things on their mind. One, create as many problems as possible where none exist to embarrass the Modi government at the center. Nothing else. Only embarrass Mr. Modi and the BJP government. Why? Because they're doing too much. People in India have begun to think, to get out of the old mold, that we know good, we can't do anything. We can. And the whole world is beginning to take note. It is. And it's frightened as hell. Now, by not going to this, what is Sonia Gandhi doing? What is Mamata Banerjee doing? What is Sitaram Yechuri doing? And if Kejriwal doesn't go, what is he doing? He's telling us, you Hindus, you don't count. You're useless idiots. We don't want to know you. Well, maybe we should tell them at the next general election, we don't want to know you people. Get out of here. Let's get that straight. These people think they're above the law. Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are summoned by the Enforcement Directorate for questioning. What happened? They created a huge demonstration all over the place. Kejriwal refuses to go. Is there no law and order, or are they above the law? I don't think they are. It's about time they understood they too are answerable to the law. There are ways of getting them behind bars, which is where they belong. Let's be quite honest about that. Because the only two things on the minds of the agenda, the minds of these opposition, or these India Alliance as they call it, one, how to embarrass and topple Modi and get him out of office, and two, how to find more and more lucrative ways of looting the country called India. They have nothing else in mind. They never did anything. They had no idea what needed to be done. They held everything back. They stopped development. Everything had to be brought in from outside. And Mr. Modi and his BJP government says, why is it coming in from outside? Why can it not be made here? And we proved it can be done here. You think of the cuts in defense imports. We will become virtually a defense needs or defense equipment exporting country. We know worse than a whole lot of others. In fact, we're better than a whole lot of others in many ways. A whole lot of other outside countries have expressed great interest in our weaponry, and much of it is indigenous. Yes, there are few things brought from here and there, but put together, who else has landed on the wrong side of the moon? Anybody? Even the Americans haven't managed that and had to a soft landing. Now, let's get a few things straight. I said this not now, I've said it for 50 years. There is no dearth of talent in this country. We have brains. The question is, how do we channel it for the benefit of our country? 30% of the millionaires in Silicon Valley in the US are of Indian origin. What are they doing there? Because the Congress government for 70 years would not allow them to do anything in India. It was so frustrating for them, they went out and made a fortune. Now they're selling that back to us. The Congress government was corrupt. They wanted backhanders, commission agencies. That's why everything had to be brought in from outside. Now, to tell the people of India that we are totally against Hindus, we don't want to know about Hindus, but they'll go to iftar parties, they'll go to a mosque being opened or begun or built, they will go to the Waqf board offices, but not to Ram Mandir. Why? Oh yes, Rahul Gandhi says, he'll go to every temple once the election comes. Probably so will Sonia Gandhi and so will Mr. Kharge. But trust me, that's only on the surface. There's nothing in there. They still hate Hindus. Hindus are there to be taxed, milked dry, their blood sucked dry, and then kicked onto and stomped into the ground. That's what we Hindus are for, apparently. And Sonia Gandhi has almost said that in as many words. Is this a Muslim country? Why are you turning it into a Muslim country? I told you, Nehru did all that. Then he divided India on the basis of language. Why? And now, Mr. Rahul Gandhi talks about democracy in danger. Who from? The Congress? It's the only threat to democracy is Congress. And of course the TMC in West Bengal. There is no democracy there. Not just Kejriwal, who doesn't like appearing before the ED. The ED raided Shah Jahan Sheikh, a very close confidant of the Home Minister and the Chief Minister of West Bengal, we're told. Or so we're told. What happens? Goons attacked the Enforcement Directorate, people who went there for the raid. Why? Apparently there's a 20,000 crore scam in rations for poor people. Where has that money gone? That's what they were looking for. And this man isn't even supposed to be a politician. And the Home Minister of West Bengal has done nothing. And I mean nothing. Filing FIRs against unknown people for doing nothing is not what I call action. So, why is there so much lawlessness? Mr. Home Minister of India, remember the great big thick stick. Start using it. When it's necessary, it is necessary. There is no alternative. Now, two of the other things. For instance, what has Modi done? One very, very big thing which seems to have gone under the scanner. Most nationalized banks, if not all of them, in 2014 were on their knees. And a lot of them may have gone under. And what did this BJP government do? Remember, this was under Manmohan Singh, the so-called financial wizard, who's supposed to have managed this Indian economy as Prime Minister. Of course, the strings were being pulled from behind by Sonia Gandhi, but he was in charge, supposedly. The shocking thing was that 15% of all banks' assets were NPAs, non-performing assets. Some of the banks, their assets had 24 to 28% NPAs. Now, what are non-performing assets? Loans given out by banks which have no hope of coming back. They've got to the stage when they take a loan, don't return it, they take another loan ostensibly to service those loans. I pay the interest on the previous loan. And even that wouldn't come back. And the UPA government under Manmohan Singh was notorious for this. Go on giving loans to people, knowing it will never come back. And people who had a horrendous record of repayment. And I think it was Mr. Raghuram Rajan, who was the Reserve Bank governor at the time, who said that loans were given to people not on merit, but because of, what was it? The proximity to certain people, or to their influence in certain quarters. Who they knew mattered more than what they were going to do with the money. You remember the famous Mr. Vijay Malaya, Nirav Modi? That's where they got their money. Knowing it would never come back. The banks had refused to give them loans, but the pressure put from these politicians. They got their loans and disappeared with the money. Well, not disappeared, but went abroad and cocked a snoot at all of us. We got your money, so what? And British laws are such, they stay there, enjoying life. Well, I think a whole world has a lot to answer for. Anyway, Mr. Modi and his government got these banks together, started recovering those loans. One other way was they would take these loans, hide it somewhere, and then declare themselves bankrupt. The Modi government said, no way you're going to do that. Justify it all. Where did you put that money? Where is it? Show us. Those guys can't sleep now, because they have to find the money, or else. Anyway, they've discovered from a total loss of around, 2 lakh crores a year, the State Bank of India alone has a profit of about 178,000 crores. This from being a loss-making unit. Funny, isn't it? And yet, Modi is the man who apparently knew nothing. And Manmohan Singh was the financial wizard. Very strange. I know things don't make sense, but you see, Mr. Modi started off as a tea seller, which is business sense. This is where he got it. Now, I know what the tea business does. I know how much you can make out of it. A family can live really well on that. You only go to see these pushcart people, whether they sell tea or samosas or pakoras or chaat. They're not common garden people. They're very wealthy people. Trust me on that. They may not look it, but they are. So please, do try and understand. If you want Hindu haters, you know who to vote for. If you want people who like India, who would like India to go forward, you know who? Mr. Modi and his group. The lines are drawn. You folk have to decide. What do you want? These guys bring in Bangladeshis and then create an unemployment problem. And then say, Modi is doing nothing about it. He has done something. You guys, you India Alliance characters, you're ruining it. You're creating problems where none exist. And you're doing it just to embarrass Mr. Modi. You are anti-India. And I mean India, I don't mean anti-India alliance. It does make me angry. I've slogged my guts out for a long, long time. I worked very hard in my time. I don't want to see all that wasted by scum who call themselves leaders. Yes, leadership into disaster, which is what the Congress has done for 67 years. Mayhem and murder, dividing this country into pieces, Hindu-Muslim riots. That's Congress. And that's the opposition parties. They have nothing else except how to go on producing problems where there shouldn't be any. There's no thought about helping to build India. Only to destroy India. That's all they're trying to do. Anyway, folks, please do understand. Do we want law and order? Or do we want this rabble who think they're above the law? Do we want India to go forward as a unit? Or do we want to go along with a bunch of people who create problems where there shouldn't be any? Do we want people who want to take us forward into the future? Or do we want somebody who keeps dragging us backwards into what we were maybe 50 years ago? You decide. Please think about it. Pass this on to everybody else, your groups, your friends, your relatives. Ask them to pass it on further. Because this is a serious matter coming up in a few months' time, the general election. We need people to take us forward, not backwards. Like, subscribe if you like, but please think about what I've said. See you next time.